Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the UKLC. We just saw Envision pick up a win, much needed to go 2-0 this week. And now we're going to see a surprise frontrunner, Barrage, 3-0 right now in the UKLC, taking on Demise.
Yeah, so I think Barrage, by all means, have looked stellar so far. They've just been taking teams out here and there. Yet to face one of the academies, but they will, I believe, next week.
I think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, and that'll be the big challenge for them. But up against Demise, there's been moments they definitely look better with Dragdar. So hopefully in their full power, we really see a good matchup against Barrage. Obviously, they will be the underdogs with their current score, which is obviously leaving something to be desired. But, you know, Demise, they have some formidable players on their roster. It's just things coming together. Their first game, I felt like they very much just sat back and tried to scale and didn't really do anything. Their second game, they didn't really let Kerberos split push or sort of enable that. And it felt like I really liked their draft yesterday, which gave them clear win conditions. But up against XL, Special was just too good. I'm just flat out saying it. They picked the Elise and the Kiana, which is great to punish the enemy mid laner, get the ball rolling, extend the pressure outwards, and Special just absorbed it and even dealt it back, you know? And I feel like if they go for a similar draft here, maybe they'll find some success. But it just wasn't enough to topple the likes of XL. They did have good moments, though, in the team fights later on, despite Special being really far ahead. They challenged that. But inevitably, Sendo just became a monster on the Vladimir, and Deadly was flawless. So I think up here against Barrage, who on paper, which we've said a lot so far this split, but on paper weaker than XL, I think they have a better chance. I'd like to see a similar draft where there's a clear, defined win condition. There's a step 1, a step 2, a step 3, to give themselves the best chances in this scenario. And one big thing I got to say is a lot of credit to Kerberos. For the longest time, everyone's seen Kerberos as a very off-meta player, a split pusher, not really adhering to what the team needs. He played Gangplank yesterday and honestly was one of probably the best-looking member on his team. He was really solid on that. It's something we didn't normally expect. I was a bit surprised to see it come out, but it seems like we're finally getting the Kerberos developing from the point when he entered the league where he was, you know, a Kale and a Warwick player. He's really embracing the role that a top laner serves in this meta, and I gotta say a lot of respect for him.
No, I think he played very well yesterday. He definitely had the edge over Sendo before Sendo just became a late game monster in the form of that Vladimir. Something I've got to mention about Barrage, I loved Sybil. I think Sybil was a really, really good early game player. I think he set up Ericsson for success. They really shut down Chimera in the mid lane, which is what the one win condition that I really think that Eminem had in that particular instance. I think Kavo played amazingly. Honestly, I think the whole of Barrage played really well. I think that's something that I will say consistently about Barrage, the more and more that we see them play, and I'm hoping will be the case here, I suppose, is that every single guy on the team just seems to be playing at the top of their peak right now.
Yeah, I think something I got to say for Kevo is up until yesterday, I hadn't really seen a game from him on a traditional AD carry where he'd really popped off. I'd seen the Heimer game was good. I'd seen him on like the on-hit Nico, which was really good, but I hadn't seen him on something very standard. We saw him on the Aphelios yesterday, and he was extremely good on it. And so proved me wrong. He looks formidable. There's a lot more depth to him, and I'm excited to see what they bring out today. They go for the Gragas in the opener. Potential to be a flex, but unlikely.
I guess just to deny from Monkeys. And it sounds really stupid, but Monkeys has always been known as a really solid Gragas player.
Well, it actually puts him in a difficult position because Jarvan and Elise were banned away. And that leaves in the sort of top tiers, that leaves Lee Sin as an option.
I mean, he played Lee Sin yesterday.
Gragas is a good option in Lee Sin.
Sure.
So there are two champions that that are in favorable matchups in Lee Sin, and that's Gragas and Rek'Sai, because they could interrupt his Sonic Wave, the recast of it, to cancel out his damage. Rek'Sai, a little less versatile. You only want to take that as a counter pick. It does have good gang pass though, but Gragas,
solid all round.
Solid all round, good in Lee Sin. So this is a pretty smart draft coming out Barrage to set that one up. We do see the Thresh and Lee Sin come in from Demise, so potentially offering some safety to an immobile AD carry, and also Thresh is a good pick in Lee Sin as well. So giving a Monkeys at least a little bit of space, but Barrage, they're going to take the Braum in this situation. It sets them up to have choice of Senna or Aphelios. Both synergize extremely well with that AD carry.
I was about to say Aphelios is up. And we know Kavo played that yesterday and played it very well. So the Aphelios Braum coming through here for Barrage. Good little 1-2 combo in the bot lane. Really solid early draft. We'll see what we Demise look to follow up with. I guess it could be the Senna if that's what they want.
Yeah, I think the standard would be the Senna. because they're on red side. They're in a comfortable position for their solo laners. You could pick a solo laner and then ban away counters, and looks like they're going to go for that. They're going to go for the LeBlanc. And remember, they drafted very heavily around mid jungle early prowess yesterday. This is another situation where they've done that. They've got the Lee Sin and the LeBlanc, which put a lot of pressure down early, even up against the Gragas.
What would you ban out now that you know that the LeBlanc's there?
Yasuo definitely to work in tandem. I mean, the team fighting would be so strong with Gragas and Braum, but it's very good with the Gragas as a combo, and I think the wind wall can do so much work in that matchup. Syndra definitely makes sense as a ban as well, can go toe-to-toe with LeBlanc and is a big power pick. So I think you go Syndra, Yasuo, and then in the next rotation, pick your AD carry. But the only concern is Barrage in this position, they can start banning away, denying things from Dragdar.
Well, we'll see what they go for. What do you think you're banning away? You're banning away AD carry, so you ban Senna, right, for sure?
Yeah, I feel like that's the obvious one.
And then what other AD carry would you ban in this situation?
Lucian is an option, sort of taper down that aggression. Alternatively, there are a lot more fringe picks, but like out of the big AD carries in the current meta right now, Lucian's the one that's sort of left over. I think, makes complete sense. Demise taking away the Yasuo. And then it's up to Barrage. If they want to go for the Lucian and they want to go for something in a little bit of a different area. We've seen a little bit of a research of Ezreal recently on the current patch with using Lethal Tempo. There's that build. There's also the Conqueror. So there is a lot of areas where Barrage could look to target. I think Lucian's the obvious one, but they could favor something else. Even potentially a top laner that they're a little bit afraid of Kerberos taking, because remember, he will have counter pick. But they're just going to go for the Varus, a sort of not quite in the top echelon, but still pretty solid.
Well, it leaves over something like the Lucian if they want to. I guess the best choice for them is to take their AD carry right now, and then they have a pick for Kerberos on the top side of the map. Or they could just take a good blind, but I don't know why you would do that. I think the Ezreal is something that you've mentioned. It's something that's sort of popped back into the meta here and there, and we'll see that likely get locked in for Demise. It does indeed happen, so that is the Ezreal coming in now, and now you've got Barrage's picks to round out. What would you be going if you're Barrage in this situation?
So it's a little bit difficult into Kerberos in the top lane because you're cautious about what he can play in terms of split pushes. Gangplank is potentially an option that's open and available, which can assist in team fights, setup, and also a decent blind in most scenarios. In terms of mid lane, that's where it gets a little bit trickier. Because going up against LeBlanc, it's a pretty strong champion in all regards, and there's a lot of matchups that favor her. It sort of depends on what Ericsson has in his pool. Orianna is a possibility, but it's a little bit too safe, and you're pretty heavy AP leaning in that scenario. I don't think there are that many great options.
Irelia, could that work?
Irelia's a bad matchup in LeBlanc.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. I'm just thinking that it's something that I know Ericsson likes to play.
Yeah, I mean, the Kennen coming in, pretty safe blind, a lot of team fighting power. It'd be interesting to see what Kerberos plays into that. Going to see the Pantheon come in. So going for something that is an AD threat, a really strong skirmishing power, and actually very good synergy with the Braum.
Yeah.
Because he can, when you shield vault, your empowered auto attacks after it instantly do like 3 stabs, and you can proc the concussive blows almost instantly. So it gives Barrage a lot of tools in the mid lane, I think, because that's something they want to go toe-to-toe. They definitely scale extremely well. It's just sort of curious as to what they'll do in the later stages.
It's the Yorick for Kerberos, something that he's played incredibly well. I've seen him play Yorick throughout the last year to great effect. It suits his playstyle as well to a T. So Yorick is going to be the pick for Kerberos on the top side of the map, and we'll see how that matches up into, I'm assuming the Kennen, I'm guessing Ericsson is going to be playing. I don't see Kennen mid that much anymore, so it's going to be Ericsson playing the Pantheon, and I assume Flair is taking the Kennen to the top side of the map.
Yeah, so for Barrage, the Pantheon's a nice pick because it offers them a lot of global map control, and also it's a pretty decent champion to play into LeBlanc, because obviously LeBlanc is a burst mage. You can use your E to block a lot of the burst potential damage. It also means strong roam, strong skirmishing power, and then the team fight later on for Barrage is just completely stellar. They just really dominate in that regard. For Demise, it's very much around that mid jungle again. The difference here is I said a lot about translating pressure bot. They have an Ezreal, so really what that allows you to do is Ezreal's safe to lane by himself, and it means Kalira can start to make movements and to assist around the mid lane and apply even more pressure. And then with the lead they're able to build up, they can potentially translate that over to the Yorick in the top lane, and he becomes a late game win condition, which is that split push, because the team fighting isn't really that great coming out from Demise. I mean, if you're really far ahead, it makes up for it. But
no, the team fighting is terrible. I mean, the team fighting just isn't good.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really far ahead, you can do it, but you don't really want to look into it.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can assess team fight compositions just based on being really far ahead. Like just by pure volition of what they have. it's a bad team fighting comp. But if they snowball that mid jungle and you get LeBlanc really fed, she can win whatever happens, right?
Exactly. But that's the thing, is that there is potential for this team to snowball extremely heavily and still take team fights as well.
Of course, yeah. No, I think that's the better way of looking at it. Yeah, for sure. But you know that Yorick's not exactly a great team fight champion. LeBlanc is not particularly good in 5v5s, better at picking off on the sidelines. They have got good pick potential with the Thresh LeBlanc combo, though, alongside Ezreal. So good vision control can allow them to be pretty sneaky around those neutral objectives. There might be a bit of pick potential there, here and there, but you're right. When it comes to pure 5v5, if we just look at them on an even playing field, it's Barrage all the way.
Yeah, which is why Demise absolutely need to start putting the pressure down early in this mid-jungle and either have that Yorick available as a late game win condition, or be far enough ahead that they can consistently look for picks, or just win out the team fights because of their goal difference. Because if a Pantheon is behind, nigh on useless. Aphelios, as much as that champion strong, he is gold reliant. There is a lot of potential for the side of Demise to win this one out, and I think it's very much in their hands if they want to do so. On the other side, the Barrage, once again, we're looking towards Sybil. He's put himself on this Gragas. It's a good matchup in the Lee Sin. If he can free up Ericsson from mid lane, they can potentially put a stop onto Demise's plans. That's the essential goal out of them taking these two picks. We'll just have to see how it plays out. We do see the lethal tempo coming out from Dragdar, so something that was initially, I believe, started by Viper in the LCK. And the big reason is a lot of attack speed available on Ezreal, especially when you stack up your passive. And it's a situation that you stack up your passive, you get a lethal tempo proc, and you get a lot of attack speed going. And obviously Ezreal, despite the fact that he is a caster, he still does a ton of on-hit damage with the Manamune, with the Blade of the Rune King. So able to dish that out pretty handily.
He can become a classic AD carry again with lethal tempo, you know, a bit more auto-attack focused. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Ezreal's still quite auto-attack focused, even when he was.
Sure.
Like you can just sit back and hit Mystic shots, but weaving auto-attacks with the passive has always been a big thing.
Of course.
But now, I mean, if you open a team fight and you land, you know, a 2-shot barrage on a 5 targets, instantly fully stack your passive and get lethal tempo, then you will outpace those traditional AD carries with attack speed.
Flara's just looking to put pressure onto Kerberos here. A couple of early cheeky auto attacks for him.
Yeah, so this is a little bit rough in terms of the range-based melee matchup. Never really fun, but eventually the Yorick becomes just a bit too bulky for Flares to deal with. Also, if you throw the cage down, Flares has no easy way of getting out of it. He's going AP, so it's not like he can just build attack speed to kill the baby cage very quickly. And I feel like...
I love the name Baby Cage.
I feel like it's obvious now that Flares is able to establish a lot of pressure, but there will come a point where he just doesn't hold up in this matchup, and it'll be more about him grouping for team fights. So both junglers start on the top side in this situation, but Red actually taken already by Sybil. He's starting the bot side.
He went buff to buff.
Buff to top,
yeah.
Buff to buff, which is, we've seen that quite a lot recently, is the buff to buff from junglers. Sort of picking those up instantaneously, having the power for clear and also ganks. And it means you can be a bit more fluid moving towards your lesser camps.
Ericsson here. This is a tough matchup, I guess, for the early levels especially. You can't really do much as Pantheon other than look to all in at points, maybe poke with your Q, but you have that range disadvantage. It's a little bit like the top lane matchup. Any kind of range disadvantage is always going to be difficult for you. Monkiz is... Oh, Sybil walks straight into Monkiz here. Monkiz is going to be looking for a quick ward hop. Now he's going to look for the strike. Actually, it's really big from Ericsson. Monkiz went way too far in, baited with the Drunken Rage. I was not expecting that to happen. I thought that was just going to be a kill onto Sybil, but great play.
Just greedy for Monkiz. He saw the blood in front of his eyes. You could have taken that. You deny the camp, you chunk Sybil out, you force him away. That's enough. But instead he goes for the tower dive, and they give over a free kill to Ericsson. And the Trader Summoners ease even. Both mid-jungles use their flashes. And we already talked about how important the mid-jungle is for Demise. That is not the start that you wanted.
Oh, that's awful for Monkiz. And I think very much in the situation where he thought, oh, I get a quick execute here. I can maybe safeguard out again. I've got Zweiren here to protect me. But yeah, definitely a rough situation for Monkiz to find himself in. I was so surprised because I kind of forgot the healing from the Drunken Rage is pretty strong and a big bait. And
damage reduction as well.
Yeah, the damage reduction is huge, and you can see the baby cage actually locking. Sorry, in comes Flare. He's going aggressive here. Monkiz, or so rather, Kerberos jumps over the wall. That's a great block of tower damage from Ericsson as well. He'll be able to escape. And that's a lovely roam. 2 kills for Ericsson. And again, popping off for Barrage.
And it's just the power of the Pantheon, the ability to roam. Such good skirmishing with the setup and the dives. Being able to block tower hits is a very rare ability. Not many champions. I mean, there are quite a few who can reset aggro, but just to be able to block them is a big thing in Pantheon's kit. And why last year he was such a dominant pick throughout Worlds, most banned champion. I believe he had 100% presence over the whole tournament. Obviously, he did get some nerfs and also shifts in meta, pushing him a little bit out with less priority on getting an early advantage. But right here, he's doing well for Ericsson. He's already picked up some boots, extra ability to dodge away from LeBlanc and Roam, but then also that serrated diff. But now Monk is back on the map, potentially looking towards Flares. I think Flares...
He knows, yeah.
He knows he doesn't have to step up, because the wave is pushing into him. There's no pressure on him right now.
No, he doesn't even need to get close to the wave. It's not like it's being frozen in front of him. He knows he's going to come back towards his tower, and when you have this situation, you're of course going to keep yourself safe. Great little scrying bloom there. Just to point out where Monk is, they know he's now at his top side Krugs. Ericsson jumps straight over the wall onto Zweiren. Huge damage coming out as well.
That is a lot of damage.
That is a lot of damage, and Zweiren actually forced to jump away from that stray Q coming out from Ericsson, looking for the final blow. Ericsson has been impressive for me. He's been one of those standout players, and especially given the support he gets from Sybil. But in general, Ericsson's map play and the way he's played mid lane in general, he's been a really big part of Barrage's success.
Absolutely, and that roam was really heads-up play to punish Kerberos under the tower and low HP. I've liked what I've seen so far from Ericsson. He now has that ultimate available. If he wants to make plays on the map, he can with sort of instantaneous impact. He's in a really good spot, and that, I mean, we saw that burst on LeBlanc. That was, I didn't expect that. It was pretty insane.
Huge damage. Actually, Demise now looking to go for this dragon super early on. They've got good vision control. I don't even think that Sybil has read this. I think they just timed the back bot, the back of the Barrage bot lane really well. They're going to pick up the first dragon.
And they know there's definitely no wards in the pit because they have 2 control wards.
That makes sure that you clear out the vision doubly.
Yeah.
So
really, but it was a nice timing. Good timing to come out from the side of Demise to find that window.
You won't be too stressed as Barrage about that, though.
No. I mean, we've talked endless times. Dragon's really not as impactful, especially in the early levels. I actually do feel like if you're going to pick up one early, Cloud is pretty nice. Because of the 10% ult reduction cooldown, especially if you look at a team like Barrage, where you have the Pantheon ult, that can make a big difference. Not really enough to talk about or make it worth committing a lot to invest, but
you ain't writing home about it, but it's still a pretty solid dragon to take. You're never going to sniff about it. It's not like the old Cloud Drake where you were like, well, whatever.
Monk is setting up potentially for a play bot lane. He's been spotted out though, and I think
you're not going to walk straight into a Haddo as Elise in there, especially with the level advantage that Haddo has. He's not exactly going to go down instantly, especially with that Unbreakable still up.
Monk is really far behind now in terms of farm compared to Sybil. That early invade,
he's 20 CS down.
And it was just greedy. It's like it's one of those things where you find an advantage, and he wanted more. He wanted more than just, oh, I pushed him out of the jungle, I've chunked him out, he's gonna have to reset. He wanted the kill, and it's cost him pretty heavily in this situation. Really far behind, and trying to force these plays when he's down in levels, it just wastes more time, puts him even more on the back foot. And right now, Zorian returning the lane. Ericsson still pretty strong, but Zorian has picked up that Seeker's Arm Guard. Does a lot to sort of negate the lethality coming out from the Pantheon.
You can see, oh, Sybil goes. Big ult as well. Kerberos is going to be stuck in no man's land. No flash can save you here, my friend. Trying to give it over to Falares, and they will. No, never mind. Red buff gets it. But, I mean, regardless, it achieved its job. I mean, Kerberos doesn't have teleport. He's going to lose a little bit here. He might even be a plate for Falares.
Yep. Puts him on the back foot. Nice gang coming out from Sybil. And now he can start up the Herald as well, because might as well weaken the map. You can see Zorian actually moving over, but you gotta be a little bit careful here. You don't have much damage in just a Seeker's Arm Guard.
Ericsson's got to be so careful. Actually, it's a huge damage. Good block on the Sonic Wave, but I think Ericsson's eventually going to go down. Oh, good flash over the wall. Actually forces the flash from Zweiren. Can Ericsson get away here? I think the Ignite does come down. However, Rift Herald and the amount of time that Ericsson bought them has allowed Sybil to pick up the Rift Herald.
Yeah, it was a good rotate coming out from Demise. Dragdar actually TP'd in at the end. And that's the downside for them, is that him coming up here is giving Kevo some alone time. And if we get a look at that bot tower, it is very low on HP already.
2 plates already gone. Yeah.
3 gone.
3,
down to 2 left. So Kevo collecting a lot of gold from that play. And I like it. I like the shutdown on Ericsson. I like the setup for Demise. But the unfortunate thing is they give up a lot in the bot lane. So definitely some negatives towards that.
I mean, they still lose the Rift Herald for 1 kill and a shutdown, though.
Yeah, so definitely in favor of Barrage. But I like the concept of the play. It's just the timing of roams was rough for Kalera, and Dragdar TPing in makes it worse.
So they've swapped. They've put Ericsson up top now. You can see that the Rift Herald's been summoned on the bot side of the map. Flares is going down to potentially look for a dive. They're not even going to...
oh, that was so much gold in Kevo's pocket.
I know, and they're going to back off as well. But that was a good little swap, though, just to threaten. Ericsson being in mid, it made Demise aware of what was happening.
The difference in gold between AD carries right now.
Wow.
Kevo's 1,500 up on Dragdar. That's over a BF sword.
And they're 0-0-0 as well. It's just the plates that he's picked up has been huge.
And one of the rough things with Ezreal is that obviously going the mana immune is a pretty cheap spike compared to a lot of AD carries who have to invest in, you know, pretty expensive items. You typically see Aphelios going Essence Reaver, Infinity Edge. That's pricey. But the worst thing that can happen is that on Ezreal, who benefits from some cheaper item spikes, is being down in gold. May end up seeing Dragdar going towards an Iceborne Gauntlet if he wants to sort of keep tempo with item spikes, but would be lacking damage to a degree there.
What do we think about the lane swap here? Do you think it's wise to put Ericsson on the top side of the map and then bring Flair? Do you think they're going to keep it like this, or do you think they'll swap back?
I think it was just a situation of reset timings.
Sure.
Often after the reason you come to the swap, I don't think you go for this for a favorable matchup for Ericsson because you can see from his HP, he's not handling Kerberos nearly as well as Flares did. So Flares, he'll just go top. It's just lane assignment when someone's resetting, a wave comes in.
Yeah, you
have that reach.
I for some reason I read into it a bit more than I thought. Maybe they were setting up for a bot lane dive with the Kennen specifically, but they didn't even need it, I guess.
Yeah, I think in that situation, when Flares didn't have ult and Ericsson did, you definitely want Ericsson mid, but the wave pickup was more important, and they didn't actually need any engage. They just needed someone to be there, an extra body to threaten. Right now, Kalera looking for something here.
I'm going to back off, and Kalera was maybe looking for a hook. I guess they're swapping over at this point. They're going to make that lane swap happen.
That's a big investment of resources. All 5 members there trying to look for that play.
With nothing to get other than just a random kill.
Yeah, and on the other side, Barrage, they pick up that dragon. They're catching waves in the side lane. Kerberos is missing out on a bit of CS top. I mean, it just felt a little bit desperate coming out from Demise. They are now looking for Flares here.
But he's surely okay. I mean, he gets chained up here. Flares is definitely going to be a target. He immediately pops the ultimate, gets back up under turret, the teleport coming through. Flares kicked back in, and Zyron will pick up the kill. Do feel like Monkus is going to be the... oh, no.
Oh, that was...
No, he's just dead to Kevo.
Flick,
Kevo,
but not enough.
Huge amount of damage. A point-blank hook missed there. Not sure how much difference it would have made to the life of Kalera. And honestly, Barrage respond really nicely.
Not a good time for the play. We just saw Demise commit all of their resources mid for a pick. It failed. In that situation, you have to catch the side waves. And they did. And the end result was no one was in position to follow up on Monkus and Zoyran. And so Barrage could respond, and they end up losing out. And now Dragdar...
Oh, Dragdar forced a flash as well. A lot of damage coming out with Sybil looking for the engage there. Maybe, I don't think it's going to be 2 plates just yet, but it is a plate, another plate picked up for Kevo here, who is again just stacking gold on this Aphelios. You mentioned it at the start of the game here, Orcs. Aphelios, a gold-dependent AD carry, and if you are outpacing an Ezreal who classically has very cheap spikes, that is really good for you.
Yeah, I mean, he's just going to be a monster later in the game, and it's going to be almost impossible to deal with him, especially in the team fight-in. We talked about how Demise needed a big gold lead for the team fights to go in their favor. They don't have that. I feel like at this point, you're relying on picks, or you're relying on split push from Kerberos, and even he's not doing too hot. So already the game definitely not going in Demise's favor.
Barrage looking just as slick as ever, though. They're almost making less mistakes. I know versus teams that are potentially worse, but they're almost making less mistakes. I'd say that Flares gets wombo comboed. They are putting a lot of pressure on him, but it's not really getting them much at this point in time. They're killing Flares over and over, but they're not really doing much else with it. They will eventually get some plates here before they fall in 3 seconds, just the one. But
they're getting straight kills, which is nice, and it's something you need when you're behind, but it's not offering much. Dragdar, I think you're just dead here.
He does have Arcane Shift available, Arcane Shift directly into Hado, and they will lock him up before he can take the Lantern, so nothing they can do in that situation. And with the Rift Herald spawning soon, and with Flares having teleport available going back towards the bot side of the map, it looks like another big global objective is set up in time for Barrage.
Yeah, I mean, I like the attempt from Dragdar and Clara to get to the Lantern, but a good ward placed down denies it. And you could just see when the Pantheon ult came in, when Sybil turned up, there was no way that Ezreal was getting out alive. Soren.
Soren's just going to get the Lantern. Good Lanterns, actually, from Kalira.
That's a lot of damage.
Huge AoE damage coming in from the Inferno ult there. Nice ultimate from Sybil, looking to put pressure. Kalira has to force to use the stopwatch. Kerberos coming in right now. Baby Cage immediately flashed out of. That's going to be Hado paying for it with his life. I say that. He's very close to escaping. Forces the flash out of Kerberos, and here comes Ericsson. Picks up a kill there, and they'll pick up the mid turret too.
Yeah, it's so low. Everyone's low on HP apart from Dragdar, and he cannot defend solo. They get the mid tower.
They're going to get the Rift Herald too,
We've talked about how important it is taking the mid tower to push up that level of vision control. And as you said, going to rotate straight over the Rift Herald. Top tower is an option for that, or they can just save it and potentially apply pressure elsewhere. But Barrage looking really solid in this game, and it's just been consistency. It's been every game they've played, they have looked good. There has been moments in week one where I questioned Sybil. He looked a bit over-aggressive, but he has reacted so well since. He's really just brought things together. The aggression's been tapered. It now seems like he's applying pressure in the right scenarios and doing really well. Overall, as you said, the team firing on all cylinders, and it feels like every player able to significantly impact the game.
What I like about what Barrage does, and I don't see it from too many other teams in the league, apart from maybe our academy teams, is that if Flares is targeted, it's not like Barrage are just farming on the map. They're always finding some way to set up for pressure based on the resources applied to Flares going down. They work in tandem as a unit, saying, okay, what can we get from this scenario? It's a bad scenario, let's turn it into a good one. And that's what I've consistently been impressed by when it comes to Barrage's play.
It's the ability to roll with the punches. Despite anything the other team tries to get in return, Barrage have a plan in motion, and they apply pressure in regard. And it ends up with these plays where Demise look desperate, trying to find a kill, and it backfires massively. And it's not that Demise are necessarily playing bad, it's just Barrage are playing extremely well. This is one of our top-tier teams right now. And honestly, I'm excited to see them face up against the academies, because so far, it doesn't feel like any team's been able to really challenge them massively.
Oh, that's a good attempt there. Puts a lot of pressure onto Dragdar, but they do have a Rift Herald to work with, and they are grouped up mid as well. Some pings coming down for the side lane tier 2 that someone's going to have to defend at this point. Good vision control around the blue, but Kalira misses another hook here. I don't know if Ericsson would have gone down there, but again, it doesn't instill you with confidence when there is a hook that's an opportunity and you could potentially get the kill. Plus, they're investing all these resources on the tier 2, and they're going to lose another dragon. It's probably worth it, maybe in their eyes. But
no, I think it's a good call. Yeah. I think the dragon doesn't matter. It's second. You've still got another 10 minutes until it becomes the Infernal Soul as a possibility.
You don't need to contest it because you're so far behind, I suppose.
Yeah, you're not going to contest it. You're not going to be given a chance by Barrage. 10 minutes before the Infernal Soul can actually spawn and be taken by Barrage. So you're happy to make cross-map trades. I think when you're behind, you should always look to trade. It's unfortunate they didn't actually end up getting the tower, but this is the sort of thing Demise should be doing. They're over 4,000 gold behind right now. They do not win team fights, even if they were even. So I think in this situation, look for what you can do across the map. And we are actually having a pause come through here right now. So we'll just quickly find out what that is. But yeah, I think it's the right call for Demise. You want to be trying to accrue advantages across the map. You want to be finding things without going toe-to-toe, head-to-head with Barrage.
Yeah, well, I think... like I said, it would have been better if they'd actually got that tier 2, but it was a good idea. Like, I think we often talk about dragons not being as important before the Dragon Soul right now. Like I said, that was only the second, actually. Demise picking up the first one of the game means it slowed down the progression of that Dragon Soul a little bit, which may end up helping them. But realistically, I'm going to bring this right back to the way that we talked about these compositions at the start. Demise needed to pop off, I feel, in this game. Demise needed to be the ones that were setting the pace and being proactive, winning the mid-jungle duo combo, because I don't think they do very well from this point, given how far ahead Kavo is, but as Barrage as a whole.
Yeah,
the only other thing that I can see bailing them out is maybe a Kerberos split push.
I think that is their win condition. If they get to the later stages of the game and they can get Kerberos strong enough to be a presence in the side lane, if they can stall the game out and constantly threaten pick potential from Zoran, that's their way in the game. But my concern is that Barrage have great engage, great flank potential with a Kennen TP or a Pantheon ult. I just don't see many opportunities for them to come back in this game. There is obviously, I mean, not always, but there is often a way back in the game. And there is one. It's just hard to execute. You know, Barrage have the easy job from here, and Demise, they really need to start working, start finding opportunities to apply pressure across the map.
So looks like they're back ready to go. Looks like, oh, pause is coming through again. I'm going to walk back over to the camera now.
Oh, yeah, I'm here too.
Oh, I'm definitely here. I wasn't moving away from the desk in that pause to go stand in front of the desk because the lights are very bright. Yeah, I think you kind of talked about it. It looks like we are almost ready to go again. Oh, no, it's a tech pause. That's our end, not on the player's end, actually. We just wanted to make sure everything is okay. Yeah. Of course, you know, we said the Demise needed to get ahead right now. Kerberos hasn't really had a stellar game so far. Not his fault. He has been targeted quite a lot. That early dive put him massively behind.
Which I think is important to do when you know he's going to be the late game win condition.
Yeah.
You want to set him behind and potentially look to punish him.
I mean, but it's just good play from Barrage. That's kind of the way that we can highlight this whole game. It's not really that Demise has done anything massively wrong. It's just that it's good play from Barrage.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I echo your sentiments. I'm excited to see Barrage take on some of the academy teams right now because they look like a team that is impressive enough to potentially challenge them, especially XL. I think I'm excited to see Fnatic versus XL later, just so I can gauge relative strength. You know, like I think it's very difficult to split hairs between Fnatic and XL right now. I think they're both incredibly good teams. Me and you have had discussions about MagiFelix versus Special. You think Special's better than MagiFelix. I think, you know, you could potentially call it the other way, but it is just that close. That's why I'm really excited.
Well, what is going to be fun is next week Barrage play both Fnatic and XL.
And we're going to get wow. My God, that's a lot of damage.
That's the Infinity Edge finished for Kevo.
Ericsson actually blocks out the Dragon Kick there. Now Kerberos is the target for Kevo. Kevo's just doing so much damage right now. He's 5-0-1. And actually, I think Sybil's going to get away from that with a really nice stopwatch too. They are going to allow the charge to come off, but they won't get the tier 2 turret to work with. A lot of damage coming through here. I think without Flare-Res in these team fights, it can be a little bit risky for Barrage, but they do come away with 2 kills there.
That felt like them flexing their gold lead, to be honest. Demise definitely challenged him a little bit, but it felt like Barrage, by all means, have the advantage. But yeah, as I was saying, Barrage next week play both Fnatic and XL, so we will get our wish. Them facing both the academy teams, and we should get a very good scope of their level and if they can hold up to them. For now, though, Zoran and Monk is trying to make a pick on a Flares, but the TP comes in from Ericsson, and they're just going to back away. Yeah,
they can't quite make that work. Final tier 1 being focused down here.
That goal difference in 80 carries.
It's huge. It's absolutely catastrophic. It's 4,000.
That's a whole item. That's a whole item.
It's a whole tier 3 item in the bank for KB. And you mentioned, like, first time we've seen him on it all. Close, but the Arcane Shift comes through. Not quite hitting the body slam there for Sybil. You mentioned that it's the first time that we saw him on a traditional AD carry in Aphelios yesterday. You were impressed by him. You thought he played really well. He's lived up to it once more.
The first really good performance on a traditional AD carry. Because he has played them, it's just none of them, it never really felt like he was making a big impact. But yeah, I completely agree. He's shown he is very accomplished at Aphelios, and
it's going to be Hado. Yeah, maybe losing his life here. The Unbreakable was doing good work. His ultimate gets blocked out, I think, there by a really, really good play, and I think Flare is going to pay for it with his life. Actually, that's the first mistake that we've seen from Barrage, because now you see Kerberos doing Kerberos things. He's got the Triforce enabled, and we'll pick up a turret for it.
They've gone a little bit sloppy in the past couple of minutes, going a bit aggressive for kills, which went fine because they were ahead, but it was close. You saw low HP bars. And then here, letting Kerberos get a tower, Flares dying, Hado having to save Sybil.
That's very Kerberos, by the way, just like sitting in a side lane, taking turrets, sitting in a side lane, taking turrets. It's good that this team managed to pick up a kill there, because that's a big win for them. Helps close that gold gap, even just slightly.
Yeah, so Dragon going to spawn in about a minute. Going to be the third to pick up for Barrage and get them 1 away from the Soul. I feel like, again, this is a situation where you don't contest it if you are Demise. You'd love to, but you just don't win team fights, and it's not the soul. As much as it's going to put you on the back foot, it's going to put you in that position where every single dragon from then on is the soul. You don't risk it.
No. We're yet to see Flares actually have an impact this game, by the way, in terms of a team fight situation. He's 0-3-3. He hasn't really had a huge role in this game so far. That's the only questionable thing for me so far for Barrage. It's just that this Kennen hasn't quite done its job to a huge extent.
But, I mean, it's fine. He's a late game insurance. My only concern is him holding up the side lane. Zoran.
It's a lot of damage. Zoran's going to have to back away with a chain.
Not as much as that first time we saw him jump on him a while ago.
Pantheon does start to drop off in damage output as the game goes on.
Coming in clutch. But Zoran gets chunked out in the side lane. And you can see that now. Kairos trying to be as far away as possible from the objective that Barrage are looking for. So he's on the top side of the map, still pushing away. That tower is still low in HP. And Zoran just trying to threaten a little bit as a LeBlanc. It's pretty low risk because of how hard it is to pin down a LeBlanc. But the Dragon's going to go over. That's no surprise. Kind of expected. And there's a very short window if they want to get this tower on the top side, because Barrage, they've done the Dragon. They're going to move him over.
Kalira looking for the hook.
This is very risky.
It's so low right now that they get it and they can walk away. Bit of pressure put down onto Ericsson in the mid side of the map here, and Kavo can't actually find the route. So.
If Barrage wanted to collapse there, they could have.
Yeah.
And Zoran kind of kept them interested, kind of kept them away. So they get away with it. Now they're going to look to push this mid tower. Double distortion will clear out this wave, so it's not too much of a threat. And they won't be able to get the tower. Wallace does do a little bit of damage, but overall still keep it alive.
A lot of damage coming from the True Shot Barrage, so it's going to force Barrage away here. And actually, I will give credit to Demise where it's due. They've held on really nicely over these last 5 minutes.
Yeah, and there is an avenue where, let's say there's a team fight that opens with Kevo dying instantly.
Yeah.
Ericsson falls off. Sybil limited effectiveness on a Gragas. It doesn't have sustained damage. If Flares can't get a big ult, there is avenues in which, even from behind, they can win a team fight. It's just unlikely, and it takes big misplays from Barrage. But for now, they're trying to test quite a bit of this Baron vision while Barrage on the reset. So they're coming back from base. You can see the bot lane. Runan's picked up for Kevo and a stopwatch. That's going to make that win condition we talked about even harder. But they're going to push up mid and then rotate over and clear out the vision. It's now Kairos set up in the side lane. He's got a level lead on Flares, and he's just hammering away as best he can. If Barrage do start up that Baron, he's in a position to potentially take an inhibitor tower, if not more. And it's basically just, this is the goal for Demise.
I mean, Kerberos has kind of generated a lot of team-wide gold for them over the course of the last few minutes. Like I said, just pushing those towers where he can. That's one thing we've always known Kerberos for. He's very good at assessing when he should not be teleporting to team fight situations. And you can see he's now keeping Flares in the side lane. And you would even argue just by keeping Flares in the side lane, you're taking away a huge tool from Barrage in general.
Yeah, and he's not having fun in this matchup. He's getting bullied out quite a bit.
I mean, as you said, he's too tanky now for this AP Kennen.
Yeah, you can see Sybil actually move down out of vision to the bot side. So if you look, Zoran's moved into the Baron area. They're actually contesting the vision now. And when this happens, they go, oh, we don't see anyone. Kerberos, get out, basically. And that's why he backs away. So has to be cautious of that situation. But the trade-off is that they get vision around the Baron once more. So a little bit of an ebb and flow. And Barrage are fine with this. They're not in a rush to do Baron. They don't want to 50-50 it when they're ahead. And the more time that passes, the closer we're getting to that Infernal Soul, which is spawning in 2 minutes. Now that's the big question, is do you contest the Infernal Soul? Because
Infernal Soul with Kennen sounds pretty disgusting.
Infernal Soul in general. I mean, think about that Infernal from Aphelios. Imagine that with extra burst.
Same.
I'm not saying don't contest it. I'm just saying it's going to be difficult. It's going to be flat out difficult. Is that the hill you want to die on, is the question.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's definitely difficult. I think, like you mentioned, there are some avenues where you could potentially look for team fight wins. It really depends on if you can catch out Kavo at the very beginning.
Because it's not the Elder. I feel like the Elder, you have to, right? You either die, you either get it or you die trying.
Again.
But the Infernal Soul, if they don't see the opportunity arise, I'm not so sure.
Sure, if it's not an easy contest, it looks like they're going to go for this inhibitor turret. They actually managed to catch them out on the rotation. They should be able to get it. I wonder if they're going to leave the inhibitor here. Looks like they are. Not going to push into... Oh, let's say that they are sticking around right now.
Looking at posture. And in this position, this late in the game, with how ahead they are, if they take this inhibitor and they win a team fight, it's potential for an end off the back of that.
Ericsson takes a bit of damage here. I think this is precarious. I mean, Kavo is obviously really strong. I mean, look at Kerberos, though. He's
it's
just
the more valuable inhibitor in the bot side of the map.
I mean, and I don't even know if they can do anything about it. They do get the inhibitor in the mid lane, but Kerberos has been monstrous on this Yorick. People used to ban this against him last year in the UKLC. You can kind of see why, even at 1 and 4,
this
having
was
huge
the pick
impact.
that partly got Diabolus 2 EU Masters over Excel.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about the dominance of the Academy teams in the UK, but there was a point where XL missed out, and it was because of the split push Yorick coming out from Kerberos. That was a lot of the success of Diabolus.
And if you're asking a champion to clear inhibitor minion waves, AP Kennen is definitely not one of the champions that is very proficient at it.
No, absolutely not. Especially with the build, he's got the Proto Belt, so the Gunblade is better in the 1v1. You have the sustain and getting the extra AD, obviously, and actually has more AP in it. Can be useful for clearing out waves over a long period of time. But he's gone for the teamfight build. Right now, Dragon is spawning in a few seconds, and Demise are nowhere near. So I think they've decided this is not the hill they want to die on.
And that's perfectly fine. Like you said, the Dragon Soul, it is overcome. You can overcome it. What I will say, though, is we are looking at 12% AD and AP with 3 Infernals on the board for Barrage.
Yeah, compared to the old Infernals,
much less powerful, but
yeah, but it's significant.
Especially the Kavo.
But I don't think it really changes things.
No.
Demise head on with Barrage. They lost before, they lose now. It's very much this more cloak and dagger-esque, sneak around the map, look for pigs, look for side lane pressure. That's the aim for Demise. Head-on consultations, not advised. You can see Barrage getting quite a bit of control over the Baron area.
They need to force things, I think, because, you know, like, They
feel confident now.
Yeah.
In the fight. They have the Infernal Soul. They also feel pressured. Kairos already picked up that bot lane inhibitor, and they've started the Baron. Ult comes across from Dragdor, and there's wards in the pit. They know this is going. This could be risky if a 50-50 comes in from Monkiz.
Yeah, if Monkiz steals this, he keeps his team very much alive in this game. They're going to back off. The problem is that Kerberos is such a threat right now, and actually they're not taking this quickly enough.
Yeah, they chunked them out. You could tell they were waiting potentially to turn a fight, but unlike the game with Envision, they don't have a Soraka to keep them healthy, and the health bar is starting to hurt. Flares, you can actually see Ericsson collapsing down. I don't know how well this goes.
I think Kerberos could 2v1 them very easily.
Yeah, I mean, melee champions do not do well into Yorick, and he's level 16. He's got Triforce, he's got Sterak's, he's pretty bulky, and he has the Merc Treads to reduce the CC. He's not an easy target to take down. You can see from the other side, Barrage are reacting. They're going to reset and just handle the waves, so Kerberos does have to back away. But this is a lot of time being bought. Considering Barrage were ready to go, ready to start the Baron, it's a lot of time being bought. And their gold lead for about 4,000, just under now. We saw this gold lead at 13 minutes in the game. And we're now 30 minutes in the game, and the gold difference is the same. And when you look across the map, there's a 4,000 gold lead between the 80 carries.
Just on Kavo. Zwyron immediately gets knocked up. Oh my gosh, absolutely blown up. That might be the call for Baron right here. That might be enough to say they don't have the damage without Zwyron right now. We can go for this immediately.
Yeah, it's a lot less threatening with a LeBlanc no longer able to try and pop you over the wall. Big mistake from Zwyron, gonna cost them, and now it's whether they can get this Baron freely. Dragdog gonna ult over the wall, and Monkiz looking for the steal.
Hado's maybe just looking to deny him here a good knockup, but is it too early? That might be the case. Hado gets immediately locked up. Lots of damage coming down onto him. He knows that he can't really contest this. Hado's gonna jump back over.
But they're looking for the end.
They're looking for the end. This might be good enough, actually, as he gets the kill. Oh my god, they're actually stopping the backs right now. They do get the kills. They're going to get the empowered recalls. I don't think they're going to have enough time to do this. They do not have enough time. It was a good attempt from Kerberos and from Dragdar, but they will be forced to back off. But it is Kerberos again attempting to put Demise on his back in the split push scenario. What a player this guy is, Kerberos. He's just such a monster on the right champion.
It's the threat of the back door. The TP came in from Dragdon. It was close, but not close enough. Right now, the Barrage, they're pushing up mid, and there's no one in position right now to try and defend this. Dragdor's recall's being cancelled.
They're actually just cancelling them out here. Zwyron trying to do what he can. There's a lot of damage coming out from Kavo right now.
and Lee up now, though.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have the manpower to do this with just the two of them. And now, actually, Sybil has to be so careful. That Mystic Shot goes slightly awry. Hado, that's a bit cheeky, mate. unsure about that one because now Kerberos has turned back up. There's a teleport coming through. This is going to be an all-out brawl. The baby cage comes through just to stop Flares. And now Eric's still on the front line. Flares also going to back off. That Banshee's just doing enough to keep him safe from that hook.
That was a fresh buy as well. That could have been very different without that. They're trying to kill the inhibitor here. They will get it just off the cannons, I believe.
No, I don't think they're going to get it. The clear out comes through. They don't have the support of Sybil right now. What an intense match. The bot lane inhibitor has respawned, so that should provide a little bit of relief. But honestly, that Baron is yet to yield much in this situation. Look at the items now being stacked up for Kerberos. The Spirit Visage is there. He's a very tanky boy, and he's going to start his pressure in the top side of the map now.
And that's the problem, is that all that pressure applied, reset. He now has to go to the other side of the map, push the wave up, start hammering on that first tower, then the inhibitor, and then there's still a tower on his side of the Nexus. And the reason being is because all of the attention from Barrage right now is going to be on the bot side of the map. Elder Dragon on the cards in just over a minute. And that isn't the Dragon Soul where you can say, oh yeah, we'll just give it up. That is a game-ending objective. If Barrage get that, they can just walk up mid, annihilate Demise in a team fight, and end the game almost instantly. So makes things difficult. And you can see Barrage right now aren't fully committing to that side of the map. They currently have Ericsson in place to try and match up against Kerberos. But Zorian also trying to apply pressure in the side lane. And you got to be a little bit careful here because Barrage, they get an opportunity. They will just push up mid.
Absolutely will. And also, you've got to remember that no one matches into Kerberos, so no one's going to really try it. So they're going to get the mid lane inhibitor right here. Lots of damage coming through. Are they going to continue to push onto the Nexus turrets? It looks like they will. They actually have the Baron up minions to work with, and now Sybil's coming in as well. Oh, that's a big ultimate. So much damage. Immediately Monkeys goes down. On the front line, Kevo is a monster. They're going for the Nexus. They're pushing up mid, and they're going to take the win, and they're going to sneak it away from Demise. Demise cannot find that backdoor. They cannot find the split push win, and Barrage will go 4-0.
Rough one. I mean, the early game didn't go in favor of Demise. That was one of the things they needed to have a chance to contest in the mid game. And then it came down to Kerberos trying to apply pressure in the side lane. It was not enough. It was not enough to do so, but it definitely tested Barrage to an extent. There were moments where they looked messy and they looked like they could potentially slip up. But in the end, their composition was stronger in the team fights.
They just came unstuck, though, against the Kerberos, right?
They saw an angle. They were like, we are strong enough. We will force mid. They will match us or they will lose the game. And they matched and they lost the game anyway. So
what I think that realistically, I don't think Barrage made too many massive errors. I think their composition just wasn't good against Yorick, and that's versus a red side last pick Yorick. It wasn't particularly good when you got to a later stage of the game, right? So I think they played to their strengths, technically. I think there was some mistakes from Flares from time to time, just getting caught out there, but there wasn't much you could do versus Kerberos at that point.
It got a little bit messy.
Yeah.
There was a point about past 20 minutes, 20 minutes, they started to get a little bit messy, essentially just flexing their gold lead and challenging things in the ways they didn't need. There were situations like in the bot side jungle where Ericsson nearly died, Sybil nearly died. Then they went top lane and Sybil was just too close for comfort.
Yeah.
Hado had to jump in front and Flares had to provide some cover.
There definitely was some messy situations.
It was sloppy, and I think that happens to a lot of teams where you sort of get overhyped on your gold lead. And Demise weren't in a position to capitalize enough to get the game back. But you make that mistake against the Academy, you lose.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's their next week. So obviously they managed to get the 4-0. They're in a good spot. But next week is the challenge.
It's XL and Fnatic. They've got the double back-to-back. So we'll see how they match up. Give massive credit to Kevo where Kevo needs it. He had another stellar game this week. On the Aphelios, I don't think he's going to be getting his hands on that too many times in the future. Fantastic play. Demise, I do want to point out, they very almost took a victory there. I mean, there was a situation where they were taking that backdoor teleport. Yes, okay, it didn't quite work out, but the idea was good. I think it was their best chance at finding a sneak victory away from Barrage. And Kerberos is still executing the same way that we know he can. He's still performing in the side lane. He's one of the, I would say he's maybe even just the best split pusher in our league in terms of decision making and also what he can do. He played really well in that sense.
My concern though is that I like the compositions from Demise. They have clear win conditions. They have elements that I can get behind. It's just they're very reliant on their mid jungle, and their mid jungle are not delivering. And I'm not saying completely, because in the later stage of the game, Zorian really starts to pick things up, but the laning phase is rough. right?
It's too
They
late
don't
by
find
that point,
momentum. They take these picks like they had the Elise, the Kiana, they take in the Lee Sin, the LeBlanc, and they end up making plays that backfire massively. And the invade from Monkeys that backfired. And these things, when your win condition for the early game is centered so heavily around your mid jungle, you cannot be doing this. And so I think there's one of two things. Either they need to sharpen up, and Monkeys needs to stop just trying to take the game by the horns, and he needs to like control, temper the aggression. Or alternatively, they need to draft differently, because when you're leaning so heavily on these players and they're not performing to their win conditions, it's very difficult to come back. Because I think there's credit to Demise is that when they're really far behind in that situation, they gave it a good effort and they did exactly what they needed to do. But I think they shouldn't have been in that situation.
Sure, I completely agree. Well, we'll move on from that one with Barrage going 4-0. We're now going to dive into our next game of the night, which is going to be M&M versus Enclave. Don't go anywhere.